Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Carney, everybody. The guy is just wow. Have you seen him on the weekend? Did you see what this guy is doing now? Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're super biased. Maybe you're team blue all day, every day. You don't change it. You're blue underwear, bleed blue. I get it. I know it. I understand. But can we be honest for a minute? Can I tell you a secret? Impressive. That's the word we're going to use right now. We're going to use the word impressive because let's be honest for a minute. For the longest time, Canada has been shackled to the United States, and for very good reason. And I'll tell you the reason, and I'll show you my bias here, because Canada wasn't really a nation. Canada was this giant land, in my opinion, might not be factual, but in my humble opinion, belongs to England. And all we got to do is just pay taxes and just get through the day to day and let this land become worth more money and more natural resources and more great things for the powers that be. And you and me, we just live in this half-baked country that could be way, way better, as we can see from America, as we can see from the Emirates, as we can see from Qatar, as we can see from all over the world. Nations are building all the time. Nations are doing great things all the time. And Canada's just kind of, we don't got a bullet train. We don't got these giant skyscrapers. We're just, Canada. Mediocre at best. And I'm not being biased. Like if you go to England, Canada, right? That's King Charles. We're King Charles. Like you go to England, serious country, serious development, serious things going on there. You go to Canada, a little bit different. So suddenly, Canada decides we're going to be a real country. And I am so happy that this is actually happening. I'll be honest with you. I really feel, now again, I might be jumping the gun here. I might be super early on this. I might be calling it way too early. But let's have a little fun here. Let's be honest with ourselves. And you tell me. So for the longest time, we decided that we're going to do whatever America wants. Oh, Tarek, what are you talking about? How could that possibly be? Well, if you look at what we did with the Huawei, look at what we did with the Chinese, look at what we did for what benefit? We don't even have electric cars. Like we barely have electric cars here in North America. We definitely don't have a Canadian electric car. And Canada decides to ruin its relationship on electric cars from China because we want to protect America. And when the retaliation happens, the retaliation doesn't happen to America. The retaliation happens to Canada, and China no longer is taking our canola oil. So we didn't win from the electric cars from America. It's not like we got this super sweet deal on electric cars. No, they're way more money than the gas-powered cars. So no deal on the cars. Nobody even wants electric cars. They're so expensive. Ford cancels their own electric car. So like, hey, this Lightning pickup truck, this isn't moving, this isn't selling, we're ending it. And we destroy a relationship with China. Big, huge, superpower China. Canada destroys it on the request of the Americans. Now, is it fair? Is that the right thing to do? Well, if we are partners with America and we're best friends, and that's what we were for the longest time. We were their best buds. Like we're married, right? We are married. Whatever America says, we're going to do it because, hey, that's the relationship we got. We're just going to do anything. We won't even really build our economy. We'll just kind of build it. We'll give you all the stuff and just sell it back to us at a markup. Who cares about our civilization? Who cares about our citizens? They'll pay it. We don't need to do any of our own things here. We'll just give you all our natural resources at a pretty good price and just give us a couple jobs. Keep us kind of busy. We'll never be as serious as you guys. We will never develop ourselves like a California or a Washington or a New York or Chicago. We'll never be that. But, we'll trade. Let's just trade stuff so people can eat in Canada. And hey, you know what? I didn't like it. But at least there's honor in maintaining that agreement. Like if that's the actual agreement that Canada decided to be this impotent country, then so be it. then we're loyal, and that's a good thing. We're loyal to America. We were loyal. Whatever they wanted, we did it. However they voted, we voted with them. America, Canada, best friends. Okay. Now, Donnie boy comes in and he decides that we don't need Canada for anything. We actually just want Canada altogether. And then Carney shows up, right? Magically shows up from England, right? And now, I would say he's doing a hell of a job. Because you have to remember, guys, you have to be fair. If you're actually watching and you want to be fair, please like and subscribe. But if you want to be fair, you have to remember one thing. Canada's identity, Canada as a nation, was in danger. It was 51st state. People were talking about it. Everybody wanted it. Now, no. Now it's not so much on the menu. It might be in the minds, but it's definitely not on the menu. And Carney has been able to just go below the radar, move quietly, move silently, and just start doing these trade deals. And the biggest trade deal, the biggest move, as far as I'm concerned, is when he went to China over the weekend, and I'm just watching this, think to myself, man, this guy is doing it. This guy is making the moves. Because, if you watch my previous videos, these are literally the moves I'm calling. And I don't have any diplomacy training. I don't have any, hey, psychic ball here and I can read the future. But I know for sure if you want Canada to survive, you got to do a lot of uncomfortable moves. You got to do a lot of things to mess up status quo. And your boy Carney is making those moves, right? Like Carney is literally standing up for Canada. Like when he initially said elbows up, I'm like, man, that is so lame. Who on earth is actually going to have their elbows up to America? Like, is this for real? Like, what chance does Canada have to do any move? Any move? And sure enough, here we are making deals with China. We're going to give them canola oil. They're going to give us Chinese cars. And you know what? You know who's the real winner with the Chinese cars? We are. We, the people of Canada, are the actual winners of these Chinese cars. Because you know what? These cars are way better than anything in America, regardless of car, regardless of vehicle, regardless of SUV, regardless of anything. They're way better, way more high tech, screens galore, screens everywhere. And way less money. And you gotta think to yourself, we made this deal with America on the idea that we're not going to trade with China. We're going to do whatever you guys want, America. We're not going to bring in any of these Chinese cars here because we respect our relationship. And we get these electric cars that are so expensive, so poor on battery, so poor on charging, so behind. And the rest of the world is just scooping up these Chinese cars. Now, hey, I would have loved if Canada said, hey, we're going to make our own car. And the Chinese are going to teach us how to make these cars. And we're going to make sure these cars are super affordable for everybody. That's the actual brilliant move for sure. That would have been the $1 million move. Like what the Americans used to do, the Chinese had showed them how to do stuff. I think we're ready to take some lessons from the Chinese at this point, if we're being honest. And I know a lot of people in the auto industry like, Tarek, what the hell are you talking about? How can you say that? That's not fair. Hey, man, they're putting out cars at 30 grand. 30 grand. Oh, wait, wages, labor, blah, blah, blah. That's the blame they get here, right? But you could go to some of these auto factories and you can see some of these workers, and the difference in wage and the cost of the vehicle isn't that much. What is different is what the CEOs put in their pocket. What is different is how the government actually cares about the industry and how much the government is willing to invest in these industries. That's where you have a lot of difference. But our government doesn't want to give us the options, until recently, didn't want to give us any options, wanted to get the most expensive cars and have no charging. It's like, what a scam. What an absolute scam. But now we're going to get 45, 50,000 of these electric vehicles from China. And it is a hell of a move because you have to imagine yourself. Imagine you're Donnie boy right now. And you think you are the house. And you think you got all the cards. You think you know the dealers. You think you know everyone at the table. You know everything. And you're like, I know exactly what Canada is going to do. And Canada will never do anything to displease us because we're their giant trading partner. We are the biggest nation in the world. Who can mess with us? Canada is somehow messing with you, Donald. Canada is somehow messing with you, Donnie boy, and it is a scene. Because there's one thing that's being underestimated here. And we're just going to jump into the next one because we talked about the car thing, and Canada's, I think that's the right move. Greenland is the other box here, right? Greenland is very, very tricky, right? Because Greenland is really Canada in disguise. It's baby Greenland. And for the longest time, America was under this impression they could just do anything it wants in the world. And for the most part, it's true. They could literally do anything in the world because they were dealing with, and this might sound a bit racist, so hold on to your hats, guys. Just bear with me. But for the longest time, they were dealing with Asian, Arab, South American. Ultimately, they're dealing, again, it might sound racist, they are dealing with darker skinned people. And the rule of law doesn't really seem to apply. So they can go into Palestine, do whatever they want. They can go into Iraq and do whatever they want. They can go into Libya, do whatever they want. They can go into Somalia and do whatever they want. They can go anywhere in the world, divide countries, shape countries, get new leaders, get rid of leaders. They could do whatever they want. They can go to Venezuela, scoop up their guy, say, hey, you know what? We don't like you. We're going to put you to court in New York, and we're going to try you in our country by our rules because we can do whatever we want because we are the US of A, baby. And that's what they've been doing. That is what they've been doing. And the world has been silent. But you know what the problem is? What they underestimated, the Americans. This is my humble opinion. They underestimated the old money. They underestimated the monarchy, the Commonwealth, the colonial powers. This is what they underestimated. Because kings and queens aren't the same thing. And I think America really took a misstep here because I think they thought to themselves, well, we'll just do whatever we want like we always do. But the problem is colonial powers, they weren't around yesterday. They've been around, for centuries at this point? The people that are in charge right now, the families that are in charge right now, this is century-old money, century-old powers. And they're not just going to let, and, with all due respect to our boys in America, they're not going to let some hotel owner come in here and tell them how the world is going to be chopped up. And so what happens now is you see this little teeny tiny Greenland. It's like nothing. It's telling America, super duper America, no, we're not doing this. And I feel like they're scratching their head saying, well, why aren't you? Like, we'll pay you. We'll do this. We'll do that. Because it's not yours, man. It belongs to the monarchs. It belongs to the kings and the queens. This is royalty now. Royalties lived with money, died with money, inherited money, generation money, generation money, generation money. It's not even about money anymore. It's just theirs. And you see now that with this situation happening, something huge actually happened. And I don't think anyone was expecting it. And what happens now is that everyone's testing to see what happens in Greenland. And Mark decides, and again, Canada's somehow playing a role wherever you look on the map right now. Canada decides to say, well, you know what? We will respect our treaties and our alliances with NATO and NORAD, and we will defend Greenland. Now, if you just woke up and heard Mark Carney say, we are going to defend Greenland, Who's attacking Greenland? America. So did Canada just say that we are going to fight America? Is that what actually was said out loud? No, of course not, right? Because let's be real for 1 minute. Ain't nobody fighting the US. Ain't nobody have the guns or the power or anything to fight America. But you know what will end up happening? Is the wedge. This giant wedge is being created. And you heard it from Mark himself. And he just said this earlier today, if I'm not mistaken. And he actually said that we're going to be creating a new world order. And what Donald Trump and America is doing, and I don't think they saw this coming, because to them, this is just their normal playbook. Like, this is literally status quo. We want something, we take it. This is what they have been doing for the past 100 years. They want it, they take it. They want it, they take it. But what they have done now is they've alienated their allies. These documents that America is really quite convinced are irrelevant, and they're just placeholders on a wall. When it comes to Europe, these are royal decree. I understand this is loyalty. The House of Windsor has agreed to this. The House of Denmark, the House of this, the House of that. These families that have been etched in time for hundreds of years have decided that these are the rules that they are going to play with, that they will not invade one another. Because you have to remember, Europe still has tons of royalty. You know, here in Canada and America, we might forget we have prime ministers and we get so sucked up into our world. You go to Europe, almost every other country still has kings and queens. Like, it's a real thing over there. So they have subjects. We are subjects. Look at your passport, see who you actually are. And they have monarchs. So the monarchs, those rules are for them. They are the rule makers. They're not going to play with presidents, especially presidents that they may not like, let alone respect. So it's much, much bigger what's happening here. And you know who's leading the way on this new world order? You know who's the one that's really taking advantage? Canada. I don't know how this man is doing these moves, because these are really good moves. Like, if you've watched my previous videos, these are moves that I have been calling for months, saying this needs to happen. This needs to happen. Trade with China. Do this, do that. And Mark is doing these moves. Like, I'm considering these to be really serious moves. He's doing these moves. He's making the trade with China, opening the market to China, opening the market to Qatar, opening the market to the Gulf. And if you're opening the markets to the Gulf, because they usually come in and buy chunks of land, chunks of property, chunks of this, chunks of that. When you're opening up Canada, the condition that must be made clear is that means you fully intend to develop this nation. That this nation is for sale for a reason. That this land is for sale for a reason. That there's going to be development happening. That there's going to be a very good return on investment. And this country is no longer going to be just coasting. That this country is actually going to do something. Now, is he leveraging the relationship with England to get the investments here? Because of, Crown Prince of Qatar, but they basically own England. They basically own all of London, even Harrods. Everything belongs to Qatar. So is that how they scooped him here into Canada? I don't know. The deals are not public, right? We can only guess. But you know what I do know? Is that when everyone sees Canada going to China, making deals, going to Qatar, making deals, you know what everyone else is thinking? Hey, we don't need to be the servants of America anymore. Canada can do it. Why don't we do it? And that is what's happening. You're witnessing this firsthand. And somehow this is literally being led by your boy, by your prime minister, Mark Carney. So love him or hate him or love him. He's horrible. He's the best. He doesn't know anything that he's doing. The whole world is watching Mark Carney. I swear. The whole world is watching him. The whole world sees him. And everybody is saying, wow, the moves this guy's making. Because you got to remember, our entire border is with America, from one coast to the other, from Vancouver all the way to Quebec. It's all America. All America. So if there's any move that needs to be done, Mark Carney's the one to do it. And if Mark Carney can do it, then Italy can do it, then England can do it, France can do it, Germany can do it, everybody can do it. Now, of course, America's got the huge population, so at the end of the day, you have to play nice. Everyone's selling everything to America. America's a great market to sell, to buy. It's wonderful. But you don't have to be their slave. You don't have to bend the knee for every single concession. And that's what America's actually doing. Okay, we're going to start getting electric cars here. Okay, we're going to make more trade with China. And we're going to defend Greenland. Because if something happens to Greenland, we're going to defend Greenland as our NATO partner. Because if Canada does that, they're basically saying the rules matter, loyalties matter, agreements matter, and we will take you on. Now, will America actually call their bluff is yet to be seen, because I actually don't think, I can't imagine Canada actually following through with it. But they have drawn a line in the sand. And in politics, when you make that line, there's no coming back from that. That is a real line in the sand. So either America backs down, begrudgingly for sure, because the amount of talk, the amount of press that this thing has gotten is astronomical. So begrudgingly, America backs down from it and says, okay, we're going to leave this alone. And Mark Carney becomes a hero. Or Trump doubles down and says, well, I want it, I want to take it. And then technically he becomes a hero, because who can actually take on the United States? They've already alienated Russia and China, so I don't think Russia and China are going to come in and fight for Greenland. Like that kind of seems like that's not what's intended here. Because they're saying this all, and the idea that they need Greenland to protect themselves from Russia and China. So Russia and China is not going to save you, so who will save you? So technically, if America wants to go all in, but then they have this entire problem of justifying to their people that we actually need to go to war to take Greenland. And I don't know if that's a fight the Americans are willing to fight for, because they already got democracy, so that's out. They don't have weapons of mass destruction. That's out. They're not Muslim, so that's out. So what's going to be the reason for fighting them? They're probably not going to have a good one. There's no regime change there. There's no good. So either they tap out on their own, or they fight. And it looks like Mark Carney, for some reason, has become the hero for all of Europe and Canada. The question I ask for us as Canadians here is that do we see that? Because when you look at Doug Ford right now, he's very angry. How could Mark Carney make this decision about the cars without consulting with me? And I'm usually super duper pro Doug Ford, don't get me wrong. But let's be real for a minute. When you made that commercial with Ronald Reagan and Trump got upset, Carney was very calm about it and said, yeah, that's nothing wrong with it. He just played it cool, played it calm, act like nothing happened. Trump defended his Carney defended his premier. No problem. It's great. But Mark ain't playing around, because this is your nation at risk. Canada is at the verge of losing its identity, losing its nation. So really, this prime minister is just doing whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And I believe for the benefit of the entire nation. I really believe that these are the moves that need to be done. So what he's doing with China, what he's doing with Qatar, what he's showing to the European nations, that they can stand up for themselves and be strong and be confident, and all very quietly, right? You don't see him going on Twitter and this and that and making all these announcements. No, he's just making deals, signing papers, pushing it forward. And every single day, something new and good is happening for Canada, by Canadians, for Canadians. And for the first time in a long time, Canada is starting to act like a real country. And you know what? I don't think there's anything wrong with having a little bit of that. So when Mark Carney said elbows up, I was wrong. I thought that was a gimmick. I thought that was a scam. I thought that was the stupidest thing in the world. But what he showed is that he really does have his elbows up. And for now, I think everybody should like and subscribe, because it's a hell of a weekend.